For YouTube, a few months back, I decided to make a video called What Would I Do If I Was Part of the Right Balancing Team? And that video did quite well, so I thought that now that I'm actively playing the game again, that I should make another one. So this one will be for patch 13.15. I know that there are some patch notes for 13.16, but I will not take those into account. So essentially what we're going to do is we are going to put all the champions into these categories, either if you're going to buff them, unchange them, or nerf them. And then I would just basically give my thoughts on how I think the champions should be changed. Starting off with Aphelios. I feel like Aphelios is on the stronger side, so either he should be put in unchanged or small nerf. But I'll put him in unchanged because I don't want to... Actually, no, let's put him in small nerf because in this patch I want to make some changes. Lilia, I think, is also quite strong. So I would actually put her in small nerf as well. Aatrox just got nerfed. Now I'm not sure how big the nerf actually was. But because he just got nerfed on the current patch, we'll put him in unchanged for now. Ahri, I feel like, is also fine. We'll just put her in unchanged. Akali, kind of same thing, high skill ceiling, so there are some players that are really good at it, but I don't think the champion overall is broken. Same thing kind of goes for Akshan. Alistar, I don't really see too much, so I feel like we can just keep him in here. Amumu, we could put him in small buffs because I don't really see the champion too much. And Nivea, I don't really see too much. It's like a one-trick champion, more or less. But the thing with one-trick champions is that when there are only one tricks more or less playing them, then if you buff them, then when it's a small percentage of players who already have a lot of knowledge on the champion, then the win rate will just skyrocket. So we'll put Anivia in unchanged because I honestly do not like when Anivia becomes meta. Annie, I would also just put in unchanged. Ashe, I actually see quite a lot of Ashe. I see a lot of decent Ashe players. So just to mix up the meta just a little bit, let's put her in small nerf. Aurelion Sol, I don't see this champion too much, but I see it from time to time. So we'll just put that in unchanged. Seer, I mean, we've all seen the Seer Corki meta, so I don't really want that to happen once again. So we put that in unchanged. Bard, I don't really see too much, so we can put that in unchanged as well. Bel'Veth, I'm starting to see both being played in top and support actually. Personally, I ban Bel'Veth in jungle because I don't have a champion pool that's strong into it. But we'll just put that in unchanged as well. Blitzcrank, I would actually like to see Blitzcrank a little bit more, so let's put him in small buff. If I remember correctly, he did get buffed not too long ago, but I feel like he can get another buff as well. Brand I don't see whatsoever, to be honest, neither in mid lane or support, so I actually feel like we can put him in Omega buff. Braum I see from time to time. I feel like this champion should just be used as like a counter pick. Or pick together with your AD carry. I don't think this is something that you will just blind, so let's put that in unchanged. Ahri will get buffed in 13.16, but this one is for 13.15, so I feel like Caitlyn is already strong with the buffs that she got, so I would just personally put her in unchanged. Then we have Camille. I would also just put Camille in unchanged, to be honest. Cashew, kind of similar. I don't really see the champion too often, but it is being picked from time to time, so let's just put that in unchanged as well. Cho'Gath, I don't really see Cho'Gath too much, so we could honestly put him in small buff, just to mix it up. Corki, same thing for Seer, we don't want to see a Seer Corki meta again. Darius, I see from time to time, I think that he's fine. Diana just got buffed, so I think that she's fine. Draven is high skill ceiling champion, so I think he's fine. Mundo I actually don't see at all, so I feel like we could put him in small buff. Kind of a little bit sad that he kind of has been removed from jungle since his rework and is only now being played in top lane. So there is that. Echo Jungle, I'm considering putting in either small buff or unchanged. But let's just put them in small buff. Elise, we can also put Elise in small buff because the reason why is because I always compare Elise to Nidalee. So Nidalee is the AP early game version that you want to pick when your teammates already have CC, and Elise is the version where if you don't have CC, then you can be the one setting up your laners. And I feel like Nidalee is quite a bit stronger than Elise, so just to even out that, let's put her in small buff. Evelynn, I don't really see too much Evelynn. I again feel like this is more or less a one-trick champion. So I don't want to buff this champion too much, so let's put that in unchanged. Ezreal, everyone is playing Ezreal. Most players should not play Ezreal, so let's put him in Unchanged. I would maybe a little bit put him in small nerf, just so that people that play AD carry that don't know how to just stop playing it, but it is what it is. Fiddlesticks I see from time to time. Also see this more or less as a like one-trick champion. I don't really see a lot of people just randomly picking it up. Then we have Fiora. I don't really see too much Fiora right now. I will be honest, I've seen it a couple of times, so it's either between small buff or unchanged. But let's put it in small buff. Same thing goes for Fizz. I don't see this champion whatsoever. Galio is a very situational pick, but I feel like we can put him in small buff. Gangplank, I still see a lot of Gangplanks from time to time, and those Gangplanks are honestly really, really scary, so it's either in Unchanged or small nerf for me personally. Garen, I mean, this champion is just so strong constantly, but it seems like it's just a solid pick every time. Gnar, to be honest, Gnar is a really good champion overall. I really like his kit. But it's not being picked up so much, so I would honestly put him in small buff. Gragas, I really feel like we have to nerf AP Gragas. I understand we nerfed it a little bit, but that nerf was almost pointless because it was due to sustain and not to damage, so this champion has to get nerfed. Has to get nerfed. Graves, I would also just put in Unchanged. Gwen, I haven't seen too much of Gwen. I did play against Odoamne's Gwen not too long ago, a few days ago actually, and he kind of played really, really well. But I don't really see the champion too often, so I'll put it either in Unchanged or small buff. But let's just put it in... Let's put it in small buff just to get some diversity in here. Hecarim, I'll just keep in Unchanged. Heimerdinger, I mean, another one-trick champion, putting that in Unchanged. Talia just got buffed, so let's keep her in Unchanged. Illaoi, I feel like can get a small nerf, because this champion is really, really strong. I've seen some Illaoi champions, even though it's a one-trick champion, more or less, I feel like the champion is super, super strong. Irelia, I mean, it's another high skill ceiling champion, so for me personally, it should be put in either Unchanged or small nerf, but I'll put it Unchanged for now. Ivern just got nerfed, so I feel like he is fine where he is right now. Janna, still kinda strong in the current meta, but I feel like we can put her in Unchanged. I would rather have enchanters be Unchanged, and then the melee supports, the relic shield supports, a little bit buffed, some of them, like for example the Blitzcrank, even Amumu to some extent, right? Jarvan, I would keep in Unchanged. Jax is kind of strong still, but we'll keep him in Unchanged. Jace, I mean, 99% of Jace players should just stop playing Jace, and we could fix that by nerfing Jace, but that would be bad for the 1% of the player base who can actually play Jace. So let's just keep him in Unchanged. Jhin, I haven't seen too much of Jhin, to be honest, so we can put him in small buff. Jinx is being picked in competitive from time to time. But let's keep her in Unchanged. Kai'Sa, she just got nerfed, so I feel like she's not too bad to play against now, so let's put her in Unchanged. Kalista, we do see it from time to time in LEC, so for me personally it should either be slightly buffed or Unchanged, but let's put it Unchanged for now. Same thing kind of goes for Karma. Karthus, to be honest, should probably get a small nerf with how strong he is, but the fact that he doesn't have any early game power, I'm not really too sure, because jungle Karthus and ADC Karthus is just constantly strong, so to be honest, should probably nerf it. Kassadin, I don't really see the champion too often, let's put that in Unchanged. Katarina, it's another one-trick champion, put that in Unchanged as well. Kayle, I mean, I don't really see Kayle too often, so we can also put that in Unchanged as well. Kind of same thing goes for Kayn. Kennen got buffed not too long ago, we put him in Unchanged. Kha'Zix I feel like should be Unchanged. Kindred got a small nerf, but I didn't feel like it was enough, and I see a little bit too much of Kindred, so honestly put this one here. Klett, I still like Garen, feel like this champion is super, super strong, so I don't honestly know how to fix it, so I'll just put it Unchanged. Kog'Maw we have seen a little bit in the DLC, so we would put that in Unchanged. K'Sante, I mean, K'Sante is still quite strong, so I would put him in tiny little bit of nerf. LeBlanc, I mean, we had LeBlanc with Static Shiv, but I feel like that phase is more or less over, so she's just gonna be unchanged. The Sin kinda got buffed together with Nidalee not too long ago, so he'll be unchanged. Leon, I feel like could get a small buff actually, because I don't really see that much of that. Lissandra just got changed, so not really too much there. Lucian, we don't really see too much. I feel like we could put a small buff on him as well. Lulu should just be unchanged. There's not really too much to talk about there. Lux is not really being played, so honestly, we could put her in small buff as well. Malphite, I mean, Malphite is weak side king. I feel like we just keep that as unchanged, otherwise it will be a little bit too broken. Then we have Malzahar. Malzahar is just a really basic champion, so I don't really feel like you do anything about it. Like, you could buff it, but what you basically compare it to is Annie, and I feel like we put Annie in unchanged, didn't we? Yeah, we did, so I'll just put this in unchanged as well. Maokai is a solid pick. Quite annoying and frustrating to play against, but it's definitely not as strong as it was when it was actually meta. So even though it's frustrating, I feel like it should be in unchanged. Same thing goes for Masti. I feel like MF could get a small buff as well, just to mix up the AD carry changes. Wukong, we've already had Wukong in the meta, so I definitely don't want to buff him. And he's already been changed a little bit in jungle in terms of nerfs, so I feel like we put him here. Mordekaiser, I feel like it's a very situational pick. I'll personally just put him in unchanged. Morgana actually, I checked very recently. She had a quite high win rate, but I don't really see the champion at all. So I don't really know if I should put it in small buff to see the champion a little bit more often, or if we should just put it in unchanged. Because right now I feel like the Janna, the Lulus, maybe even Soraka to some extent are the strong ones. And putting like Morgana up there at an even level, I don't know if she'll become too strong. Because she's a really solid counter pick. And I feel like we didn't buff Caitlyn, right? We just put Caitlyn in unchanged, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, not too sure. Let's skip Morgana and Nami for now. Nasus, we're gonna put in unchanged. Nautilus, we can honestly give him a small buff. Nico, I mean, we have seen the new passive, right? So we just put her in unchanged. Nidalee is kinda still strong. And I feel like if we buff the Elise up here, then we have to just put Nidalee in unchanged. Otherwise, the difference would be put Elise unchanged and then put small nerf on Nidalee. Don't really care which way we do it. I just feel like Elise and Nidalee should be comparable. Nilah I have seen a few times, but I don't really feel like it's that insane of a pick right now. So again, just... Ooh, do we put it unchanged? We either put it in unchanged or we put it in a small buff. I have seen it a little bit, but I haven't seen it that much, and it's definitely not meta by any means. And we have already buffed a decent amount of AD carries. Jhin, Lucian, MF. But fuck it, why not? Put Nilah up here as well. Nocturne, I don't really see the champion too much. So we could honestly buff this as well. Nunu, I feel like we just keep him in unchanged. There's not really too much to talk about there. Olaf, still quite strong. Little bit sad. Kind of same thing with the Mundo, that he's more or less just a top laner now and he's not actually a jungler anymore. So that's a little bit sad. Orianna, just a situational pick. Ornn, the second weak side king. We just keep him in unchanged. Pantheon, I mean, we just have to look at Spear Shot. But I feel like champion is fine. Poppy, also kind of strong, but nothing that I want to do too much with. Pyke, kind of same thing. Qiyana, kind of same thing. Quinn, kind of one-trick champion. Rakan, really, really strong in the current meta, so I feel like he's one of those few Relic Shield supports that definitely don't need to get buffed. So we can either put him in unchanged or small nerf. And I feel like we have seen enough of Rakan for now, so let's just put him in small nerf to actually change up the meta. Rammus, I feel like we keep it unchanged. Rek'Sai, to be honest, could maybe get a small buff because of the fact that Prowler's Claw is no longer inactive. But she did get some changes, but I'm not really sure how much it affected Rek'Sai, so I don't really want to change that too much. Rel is probably the other Relic Shield support that is just in the meta right now, is really, really strong. So to mix it up, we changed that. Renata, we could honestly also buff, because I don't really see the champion that often. So let's put that up there. Renekton we put here. Rengar got nerfed to not too long ago. Riven is also just gonna be unchanged. Rumble, kinda strong on a good player. Is being seen a little bit in jungle, but I don't think it needs any buffs. But I don't think it deserves to be nerfed, so let's put that in unchanged. Rise, I mean, the champion has been reworked, say 7-8 times, I don't know. We just keep him in unchanged. Sejuani, pretty decent pick. Not as frustrating to play against as Maokai, so we will keep that in unchanged. Senna, I feel like could get a small buff, just because she can definitely mix things up, both as an AD carry and as a support. Shaco got changed, so we don't really want to change that again. Shen, not really something that bothers me too much. Shyvana just got nerfed, and I don't honestly even understand why. But it probably had something to do with top lane Shyvana, because that's what I see people playing, but I don't personally feel like it's that strong. Singed, again, more or less just a one-trick champion. Sion, I mean, this is just for the bows. I feel like we just keep it in unchanged. Sivir, we honestly could buff, because we don't really see too much of Sivir. Skarner, I mean, this champion was supposed to get a rework, but never got it, so let's just wait for the rework. I don't want to change that champion. Sona, kinda just whatever support champions. You could honestly get a small buff in my opinion. Soraka, I would just keep unchanged. Swain, I see him from time to time, but I don't see him all that often, so depends. I feel like he's fine to play right now, but would we necessarily bring him into the meta? I'm not too sure. I feel like it's not been too long ago since Swain got into the meta, but we can put him in small buff, because I said I wanted to see some actual big changes here. Sylas, we just keep it unchanged. Syndra could maybe get a tiny little bit of a nerf, but let's put it in unchanged. Same thing goes for Tahm Kench. Talon just got buffed for no apparent reason, but I don't want to upset the Talon mains out there, especially in the jungle. Terry could honestly get a small buff, because that champion is just not being played enough. Teemo, I mean, we unchanged, so I don't see this champion, it's just the low elo champion. Fresh, high skill ceiling champion, don't really care too much. Tristana is being played in mid lane. It's kind of frustrating to play against sometimes, but let's put it unchanged. Trundle could definitely need a buff. That champion is not being played enough. Tryndamere, I mean, another one-trick champion. Twisted Fate, this champion can 1v9 if it becomes too strong, so we definitely don't want that. Twitch in the current meta, I don't see too often, so he could honestly also get a buff as well. Udyr, I mean, this champion definitely, I mean, to be honest, it's a little bit elo inflated, but let's put it in unchanged for now. Urgot, I don't see too much, we could honestly buff him as well. Don't mind that. Varus is being played, so I'll just keep him in unchanged. Vayne, yeah, I don't honestly know. We have buffed so many other AD carries, so let's just buff the Vayne as well. Veigar, personally, I would nerf it because this is so frustrating to play against, but let's put it in unchanged. Vel'Koz, I mean, this is also pretty much just a one-trick champion. It's being played in both support and in mid lane by one trick, so I'll just put that in unchanged. Vex, I don't see too often, but I don't feel like it's too long ago since she got released, so she's gonna be put here. Viego, I don't really mind too much. Vi, I feel like it's in a decent spot as well. Victor, kind of similar thing. Vladimir, kind of similar thing. Warwick, kind of similar thing. Xayah is being played, so kind of similar thing. Seraph just got buffed, so definitely don't want to change anything on that. Then we have Xin Zhao. He is okay, like I'll put him in unchanged. Yasuo just got buffed together with Yone. Still, honestly, don't know what Yorick does, so we just need to unchange that. Yuumi should definitely not be in the meta. We have seen enough of Yuumi. So, to be honest, just unchange that. Or nerf it even more. This is that annoying. Zac, I mean, he's annoying when he's in the meta, so let's just put him in unchanged. Zed, I don't honestly see... I mean, I see it from time to time. Also, pretty much just a one-trick champion. But I feel like it's fine, so let's put it here. Siri, we also don't want Siri in the AD carry meta, so let's just put this one here. 6 is like a situational pick. I don't feel like it should be in the meta. I feel like it should just be picked from time to time. Kind of same thing goes for Cillian, Zoe. Syra just got changed recently. Samira, I don't really want to buff either. Seraphine, it's also just situational pick. Set, I see from time to time. Volibear could honestly get a small buff. And then Yone would be unchanged. And then we have Morgana and Nami. So this honestly depends on what AD carries have been picked, because we put Caitlyn in unchanged, so we could just buff one without the other, and Nami would definitely be together with Lucian. And did we put Lucian in buff? We did. So I would put this one in unchanged because Lucian got buffed. I would put this one in buffed because Caitlyn got unchanged. So in Omega buff, we pretty much only have Brand, but I feel like that's fair. I don't feel like we should have insane massive changes. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 20, well, 30, 31 champions. That gets a small buff. Slightly more that, or yeah, then we have decent amount of small nerfs, and then we don't have any Omega nerfs. So those are probably the changes that I would be doing for the upcoming patch. This is more solo queue focused than it is competitive focused, but let me know what you guys think. I will let you guys have a look at the entire list here, so then you can see all the small buff champions up here. You can pause the video if needed. All the unchanged champions here, as well as the small nerfs, and then nothing in Omega nerf, because I don't think there's anything that's way too overpowered when it comes to just pure champions. So let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with my list? Is there something that should be put in Omega buff together with Brand? Is there something that should actually be Omega nerf that I'm completely forgetting? And yeah, I feel like this is definitely a bigger update on the meta than what we are currently getting, because I feel like the last many patches have been very minor changes and not really switching up the meta in any sort of way. So I definitely wanted to make patches a lot bigger. I want the changes to be bigger. I want more champions to get buffed and or nerfed, and I don't want to see just like more or less 10 champions get, like, let's see here, we have 6 champions that are being nerfed, and then we have 7 champions that gets buffed and 4 champions that gets adjusted. This one is even like a slightly bigger one, I feel like, but I feel like we need twice as many changes as this, because the meta is very stale right now, and I would like to spice it up just a tiny bit more. But those would be my changes. Let me know what you guys think, and then like the video if you enjoyed it. Remember to subscribe to not miss out on the next video, and then I'll see you guys in the next one. See you guys.